Today we're going to practice modifying sketches. I've created a new document in Onshape, and my first step is to start a sketch and then choose a sketch plane. I can choose the top, the front, or the right. Remember that the sketch plane that we choose is going to determine which view of the object we're going to draw. For example, if I were going to draw this mouse and I selected the top view, I would draw this view of the mouse as it looks from above. If I were going to draw the front view of the mouse, I would be drawing this. And if I were drawing the right side view of the mouse, I would be drawing this. So it's important to select the sketch plane that makes sense for what you're going to draw. You can see at the top it prompts you select a sketch plane, so you have to choose. I'm going to choose top by clicking on it. And you can see that I've selected it because it now says sketch 1 along the top plane. In order to view it straight on, I'm going to go over here to the top right, to the view cube, and click the top view, so that now you can see I see sketch 1 right here in the corner and the top view, and that's how I know that I'm viewing it straight on. This object that I'm going to draw involves a lot of different shapes, the first shape of which is a circle. And as we go, we're going to be practicing adding dimensions. When I draw these circles, it's important to note that the center point of the circle has to line up with this center point here. That's the origin of the coordinate grid we're using. And these two circles are going to be just any size, but both of them have to be clicked here at the center point. The outer circle, we want to have a diameter of 15. I can either type in 15 as I go, which you can see makes it significantly larger, or I can add the dimension in after by pressing the dimension button. I'm going to roll my mouse out so that we can see the whole object. I'm going to grab the dimension and scooch it off to the side so that we can see a little more clearly the inside of the circle. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to say the distance between the outer circle and the inner circle. We can do that with the dimension button. All we have to do is select the two objects, and it allows us to define the distance in between them. You can see that since I clicked them, that now the dimension button is showing me this. And when I click to place it, I can type in a number. The number in this instance is 3.5. Perfect. So to add on to this object, we want to draw some lines, and we want the lines to perfectly match with this like top spot right here. And you can see that as I move into the right spot, that it actually kind of lights up. You can see that when my mouse is in the right spot, that the center point becomes a bright orange, and that there's a dotted line. And you can see there's a tiny little square with two symbols in it. And the symbols mean that I'm picking a point that touches the circle itself, and I'm picking a point that is vertically upwards from the axis. So I'm going to click there. And when I draw my line over, I want to make sure it's straight. And my mouse will kind of lock into the point that's correct. You can see that when I get it straight, that there's kind of an orange dotted overlay on top of the line to show me that it is in fact straight. So I'm going to click to place that. And as I go, I'm going to type in the number 20. Enter. And you can see now the line has turned dark. It has a dimension on it that says that its length is 20. Next, I'm going to draw a line downwards. I'm just going to continue the previous line I was doing, and its length is 5. You want this to be straight as well, so as you move the mouse, you can see it kind of locks in at the right spot, and I can type in the number 5. Next, I'm going to go in 7, down 5, over 7, down 5. You might find yourself, as you go, having to delete a line. And you might wonder, how do I delete a line? If you need to delete something, you can select the line by clicking on it, or by drawing a box around it. For example, remember that the blue box only selects things entirely inside, which is why the blue box is not selecting. but that the orange box selects things that just touch it, which is why you can select it dragging to the left with the orange box. So to delete something that you've clicked, you can right click and say delete, or you can press the delete button on your keyboard. I'm going to continue drawing though. Down 5. And then over. Now I want this last line to touch. And you can see that as I touch the outside circle, that a little symbol appears below my mouse showing that it's making contact. And that when I reach a certain spot, I want to know when I'm perfectly in line. And you can see that my dotted line isn't appearing. What I can do to make sure that I'm clicking in perfectly the right spot is that I can hover my mouse over the point here, not click, just hover, and then move my mouse down. You can see that when I'm in the right spot that a dotted line appears. And now it's perfectly straight. You can see it has even a length of 20. I'm going to roll my mouse out so I can see the whole object. You can see that the shape is now colored a gray color, and that means that it is a closed object, and that means that we can create a feature from it later. We haven't yet talked about features, but that's how we're going to go through and create our 3D shapes. The next thing we need to do is create some construction lines to help us place different features. I'm going to draw them as lines and then convert them into construction lines afterwards. The first line goes from here to the midpoint here, and as you move your mouse, once again it locks into place, and there will be a point where it, on the other side, where it forms like a little box, and that box is automatically showing you the midpoint of that line. I'm going to select the line and then click the construction tool to turn it into a construction line. I'm going to do the same thing over here on these legs. I'm going to move my mouse up and down until I see it latch on to that spot right there with the little square showing it's at the midpoint. And I'm going to draw a line inwards a length of 3.5. I'm going to turn that into a construction line by hitting the construction line button. Perfect. I'm going to draw one more line down here, once again using my mouse to find that spot. Drag my mouse over, making sure it's straight, and you can see that it's straight because it's dotted, and typing in 3.5. I'll turn that into a construction line as well. Perfect. My last step is to add 2 circles at the ends of those construction lines. The construction line's point being there to show me where to place those circles. You can see I'm choosing a center point circle, so it wants me to choose the center point first, which is the end of that line. So I'm going to click and draw a circle with a size 2.5. And click and draw another circle with a size 2.5. You can see that as I type, the shape, watch, as I press enter, will turn from blue to black. And as it turns to black, that means that it has been fully defined, that there are distances from known objects, and that the item is fully constrained. We'll talk about what fully constrained means at a future time. But there you have it. We have completed our drawing. I'm going to click the checkbox to finish the sketch. You can see that the dimensions disappear. They're not visible, but they're not gone. They're just hidden. The reason why is they don't want all the numbers to get in the way when you go about turning this into a solid object. If you were to return to the sketch and edit it again, your dimensions are still there, don't worry. They just aren't visible when you exit the sketch. There you have it. We have finished our sketch. Great work, guys.